What is happening, people? Welcome back to the Scarfes Spurs Talk podcast. On this week's episode, we'll be reviewing that massive win for Spurs at the Etihad, where we smashed Manchester City 4-0. We'll also be looking ahead to Roma in the Europa League at home with Claudio Ranieri as the new Roma manager. So that should be a good one. And joining me tonight to dissect this big win, firstly, Billie T, welcome back. How you doing, mate?
Hello, mate. Very good. Very, very good. On top of the world at the moment. Still not sunk in, but yeah, absolutely buzzing, mate.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm with you on that. Nice to have you on once again. Robbie, welcome back on the channel. It has been a little while, a few months or so, but it's great to have you back. How have you been doing?
Yeah, good. Thanks, Harry, mate. Good to see you and everyone else on the panel in the chat. Doing well, thanks. Doing great, to be honest, after Saturday's win. And yeah, looking forward to talking about it with you lads. So yeah, it's going to be a good show.
Nothing better than dissecting a win. Thank you very much for coming on, Robbie. Justin, welcome back. Obviously a regular, along with Billy. How you been doing, mate?
Yeah, doing fine. Until about 20 minutes ago, I was absolutely buzzing. So yeah, I assume we'll get into that in a moment.
We will. For people who haven't seen it, there's some bad news about Vicario. We will get into it. But before we do, if you're new to the channel, don't forget to smash the subscribe button. Firstly, thank you very much for 2,500 subscribers, which you recently reached, well, in fact, today of recording. So thank you very much for doing that. A reminder, this is available also, not only just on YouTube, but also on audio. So if you are listening there, don't forget to drop us a follow and a 5-star review, wherever that may be, Amazon Music, Apple Music, or Spotify. Also want to say, check out our sponsors in the Kitman and Security VPN as usual. Hoping to do a giveaway before Christmas, quite a big one, so stay tuned for that. Also want to say on a personal note, thank you very much to everyone who voted for me and nominated me to be at the Football Content Awards 2024. Sadly, didn't win anything, but it was a real honour to be there in 2 categories, one being equality, inclusion and diversity individual with the work I've had the pleasure to do with the channel. This year has been absolutely fantastic. The long-term aim will be to nominate the channel next year. So we just want to say thank you on a personal note for that. But we'll crack straight into it. And Justin mentioned it there, Vicario. I was all positive going into this show, planned all my notes and just, setting it up and found out that Vicario has undergone surgery. So Spurs took to X 7:30 Monday evening, if you're listening after, to say we can confirm that Vicario has today undergone surgery for a fracture of his right ankle. He'll be assessed by our medical staff to determine when he can return to training. I think that bit worries me most. And they also went on to say, we're all behind you, Vic. I mean, Justin, you brought it up firstly. I mean, this come from nowhere, didn't it? And, how's it going to affect us? Because it's a massive player that we're losing here.
Yeah, I mean, I know that he's had a fair bit of criticism in terms of set pieces and crosses and things like that. But when you're comparing him to what is sort of now what we've got to use to get us through, it's not like we're going to have a few games before we can potentially explore the January window. We've got quite a few games coming up and some big games. We've got obviously the Europa League. We're going to have Man United that we've got to face in the Carabao Cup. We've got lots of important games coming up. And we've seen, okay, Fraser Forster will probably be first choice. He didn't play too badly against Galatasaray, was a bit shaky against Coventry, but we're getting to a point where, the guy is almost becoming like Scott Carson at Man City. He's just there almost to get a payday and just make up the numbers. So the only bit that really worries me in terms of it more was in Tottenham statements when they said, we're behind you, and almost to say that's not a good one. It's not like, okay, so this is a strain and he'll be out for a little period. It's very rare that a club puts out a statement like that and sort of says that the club's behind him. That tends to me think he could be out for the season, which if he is, then January we've got to go and get somebody in because there's no way we can go through the remainder of the season with Fraser Forster, who looks shaky at best, and Brandon Austin, who I'm not really sure why he's still there because we just seem to be paying him not to do anything. So for me, I think that will change our January plans because if we're going into the remainder of the season with those two as our options, yeah, that would be very, very worrying indeed.
It would be. And it's interesting you mentioned Austin and Whiteman there, because I was on like a mini like fun week as like I think goalkeeper training at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Where they were looking for players, etc. I'd done it as a birthday present. Love Spurs, just wanted to do it more than actually thinking, I could become a goalkeeper here. But they were really hyping up at the time, and this was 2017-18 about Whiteman and Austin, how they believe they've got future England goalkeepers on their hand. They reckon they have two of them, and they were really, really excited. And we're sitting here now in 2024, the end of it, and neither of them have nothing's come of it. Maybe you could say
to be fair, I think it sums it up. I think Brandon Austin signed a new contract this summer, and Alfie Whiteman didn't do one fairly recently. So I mean, what on earth is their ambition? Because there was always going to be Hugo Lloris. As soon as we brought in Vicario, they were never going to get in front. And the fact that they couldn't even push Fraser Forster out of the way, the fact that the club has got these two, yet it thinks that Fraser Forster is the number one choice currently now, would indicate you've got no future. I just find that baffling. So come January, if we're asking about what business we now need to do, goalkeeper's definitely up there.
Yeah, I'm 100% with you, Robbie. I mean, it was a surprise to you when I mentioned this to you in the back room, because it literally just announced, wasn't it, when you come on? What's your reaction to this fairly recently? Now live, it just literally come out. It's not good, is it?
I think it's a big miss, mate. I really do. I mean, there have been question marks about, how he's commanded his box this season, but shot stopping wise, there's not many better. And our lack of depth in that position, as I say, Fraser Forster, maybe the occasional game he can come in and do a decent job, but is he going to be able to do it consistently for us anywhere near the level Vicario has? I'm really not sure, especially with the football we playing out from the back. I mean, when he was at Celtic, Southampton, even it was a lot of long ball up top sort of thing. And he's all right as that sort of keeper, but having to play more with a ball at his feet, I'm not sure if he'll be able to do it. So like others have been saying from what I've seen straight away on socials, as I say, I think we need to go in for another keeper now in January. I really, really do. I think, if Vicario's out for the season, which it looks like it could be, I don't think Forster's good enough, for a whole season. But then the problem is, do you go out there in January and sign another top keeper, first team keeper, and then when Vicario comes back, there's competition for that place, and we end up in a Ray Ramsdale situation. So yeah, we can't enjoy good things as Spurs fans. We have the Man City result, which is outrageous on Saturday, and then this to finish off the weekend on a Monday night. It's gutting news. It's frustrating, and I think it's a big miss.
Yeah, I'm absolutely with you. Billy, I'll move on to you next, because an interesting comment here in the YouTube chat from Jay, who I think, firstly, by the way, has noticed quite well that Vicario did go down, seemed fine. And someone commented earlier as well about Vicario's leg movement didn't seem normal in the game. I mean, this is proper observant stuff that's now come out. But Jay's question here is, so what goalkeeper as a backup would you want to sign in January? Are you with the guys that all of a sudden this becomes a priority in January?
Yeah, mate, I'll be honest. When I said I was buzzing at the beginning, I just got literally straight home from work and I did not even know this was a thing. So now I'm absolutely gutted. Absolutely gutted.
Sorry.
It's got to be. Yeah. And, we have changed to a data-led approach. Data that led us to Vicario. I don't think there's any outstanding goalkeepers in the Premier League that we could realistically sign, to be honest, I can think of. If you're looking to take a team's number one goalkeeper in January in the Premier League, you're going to be screwed. So I think we're going to have to go abroad, where the teams are a lot more desperate for money than the Premier League teams. We're going to have to use that data and get in at least someone who's good enough to be number one for the rest of the season. It's a real blow, but, the data led us to Vicario. And we got to pull out a Jan like that again. He came in straight away and was outstanding last season. So I have faith that they can do it. And, shopping for a goalkeeper is not the same as shopping for a striker. You're not going to have to drop like 60, 70 million. Probably have to drop 30 million for a really decent goalkeeper that was going to be good enough for us. But it's a real blow. But, let's get that data out and look for some keepers across Europe, because I can't think of any standout candidates in the Premier League. I know we were linked with Trafford before. Could be a possible name to look at, but yeah, it'd be interesting to see what happens, because I can't see us signing any Premier League goalkeepers, to be honest.
No,
see,
not interesting.
Well, can I just interject there, because I must admit, when I saw this, I sort of had to look around. The only potential, if you were talking about Premier League wise, Wolves have got Jose Sarr and they've got Sam Johnston. And
Sarr's
I
a very
think
good
both
keeper.
of them, I think both of them are equally good at being a number one for that club. If you're potentially looking at somebody, it depends how they want to go with it, because I agree exactly with what you're saying there, Billy, about spending that sort of money if you're going out for a long-term number one. But if the club is actually maybe just thinking, could we get somebody in till there, either one of those, I don't think would be a bad option.
Yeah, and we were. I know that for a fact that we were really close to signing Johnston before, but he opted for first team football. So it'd be interesting to see how that works. And yeah, that's a good shout. To be fair, that is a good shout. They're two decent keepers. I wouldn't be too dismayed signing any of them.
No.
No, thank you. I'm with Justin in terms of the way maybe we're looking too much into this, but the way the statement's worded, it doesn't look good and potentially serious. And obviously, how long he's out for will determine how much of a priority this is in January. But it's who would want to, be second to Vicario when, he comes back. Do we get someone that's maybe nearly on par with Vicario and kind of do it like the Arsenal tried to with Raya and Ramsey? Obviously went with Raya in the end. I don't quite know. I think it's always good to have two strong keepers, but sometimes in Arsenal's case, it might not always be the healthiest option. But we will move on for now till the Manchester City game, which the podcast is solely going to be focused on tonight. Firstly, I want to go through our lineup before the game. Anyone who didn't see it, our full lineup was Vicario, Porro, Dragusin, Davis, Doggy. Got Basuma, Sarr, and Maddison in midfield. Obviously, Bentancur suspended. Kulusevski, Solanke, and Son up top. Substitutes: Fraser Forster, Jed Spence, got Hardy, Gray, Bergevall, Olise, Johnson, Werner, and Will Lancashire. That's three changes to the side that lost last time out for the international break at home against Ipswich. Christian Romero misses out through injury, with Ben Davies coming in to replace him. He also partners Dragusin at centre-half and midfield. There's enforced changes said about Rodrigo Bentancur. He's been replaced by Yves Bissouma in this game. And James Maddison starts his first Premier League game for almost a month. Brennan Johnson's on the bench. Billy, any surprises in there for you? There was certainly for me.
Yeah, Brennan Johnson on the bench. Big surprise, I think. I think most Spurs fans would have probably had him down to start, and I don't think any Spurs fans would have picked Kulusevski on the right-hand side, just because he's been absolutely phenomenal in the middle. Obviously played a lot there last season, has been brilliant there against Man City in particular. But it's just a bit of a shock, really. Not something that we've seen this season at all. Obviously, as we'll talk about later, it was a great move in the end, but yeah, not something I saw come in before kickoff. And then I guess a lot of the other changes are kind of forced. You have no defenders, and Bentancur's banned, and the rest of the team sort of picked itself, really. Good to see Maddison come back in, I think. And obviously, it's easy to talk in hindsight. They worked really well. But personally, I'm a big fan of Maddison. I want him playing in our biggest games because, as you can see, he's a real difference maker when he's on it.
Absolutely. Robbie, come to you on this one. Any surprises in there? Billy mentions there, for example, Johnson not starting, Kulusevski on the right instead. Did that come to you as a bit of a surprise?
Yeah, I wasn't expecting it. I'll be 100% honest. When the lineup was first released, I wasn't too pleased about it. I was questioning Kulusevski on the right because we've seen how well he's been playing in the midfield recently compared to on the right over the last few years. Johnson missing out. It wasn't necessarily Johnson missing that I had a problem with. It was just Kulusevski not playing in the midfield. Obviously, not a lot you can do about the choices with the centre backs due to injuries and even with the midfield. But at first with the lineup, I wasn't too sure about it, and I couldn't be happier to be proved wrong. Kulusevski worked really well on the right, as I say. The midfield three worked brilliantly all together. I thought Sarr and Bissouma were constantly being aggressive and doubling up on the likes of Gundogan in the game. So, yeah, I was questioning the lineup when it first came out. Kulusevski on the right was the biggest doubt that I had, and I couldn't be more happy to be proved wrong with that one. I thought, the lineup that Ange chose worked out really well for us.
Yeah, 100%. Thank you very much, Robbie. Justin, I'll come to you, and I'll focus for you on James Maddison, because I said there he started his first Premier League game for almost a month. Obviously, there was reports, wasn't there, in the international break about him falling out with Postecoglou. Did you believe any of that, and was it a surprise to you to see him on the team sheet?
I think you'll always one of the things you always find when there's a player out of favour or not playing, 9 times out of 10, there's then always a rumour that will follow it to say he's not happy, he's not, there's falling out with the manager, this and the other. We're no different to any other football club. Every club will get that. You'll see it at times with, City or Liverpool, Arsenal, Chelsea, where a player is just falling out with the manager, even when actually there's nothing in it. And I think, to be fair, clearly it was needed, because the Maddison that we saw at the beginning of last season and that we saw sporadically through the remainder of the season and in this season has been sensational. He really, really has. But the problem has been is that consistency level. It's just not been there. At times he's just gone missing in games. And, for somebody who is so important to what Tottenham brings and how devastating he was in that game, tells you that if we can just somehow consistently, game after game, get him to because he was technically almost like it was almost like watching an Ericsson and Dele Alli, molded into one. A guy who was creating spaces and making chances, but then was just drifting off of Gundogan and just getting into the box just out of nowhere. Twice he was able to get into those positions and really just, almost become unplayable, because you just didn't know what he was going to do. He just absolutely dominated. And when you see, and I agree with what the others have said about Kulusevski, there's no way I would have played him on the right. But when you've got those two players playing in that way, they're unstoppable. They are totally unstoppable, because you just cannot predict what either of them are going to do. And it just then means that, what could City do? Do they double up? And I think one of the things that helped is obviously City have got quite an aging squad now. When you look at the players they had out there, Kyle Walker, Gundogan, people like that who are in their 30s, we just exploited that absolutely perfectly. And we can be, and I've been one of them who's been heavily critical of James Maddison through the season. But you can't there. For me, he was man of the match by far. But the key part now is what happens next. Can he build on that? Because there's too many times, when we saw it like against Man United, when we were devastating, and then we go and put in a performance like we did against Brighton. There's too many times where we see these amazing performances and we show that it can be done. And then we'll go into a game where it should just happen naturally, and it won't. And that is where now the question marks will come into it. Can they now go up, particularly against a Fulham team who had a poor result at the weekend? Can they take that forward? Because if they can build on it and consistently build on it, we could be on to finally something special.
Absolutely, I completely agree with you. Thank you, Justin. Welcome on to the podcast, better late than never. Kallum, how you doing?
Yeah, I'm all right, mate. I'm all right. Sorry I'm late, but I did
No.
get here eventually.
Have you just come back from the Eskimos?
No, I was thinking of going to join the Arctic Front on the Ukrainian battleground. I thought I'd go winter camouflage, but I don't think Harry will put me on loan for that for the weekend.
There's more chance of you being put on loan as our new goalkeeper, to be fair.
Well, you never know. I mean, I swear I jinxed it last night. I said, that's all we need, that bag of concrete in goal, and look how it's blinking ended up. So, I mean, I think I must be just an unlucky...
Well, we know whose fault it is now. End of. Forget it. Season goes wrong. Callum's fault. End of.
Yeah. That's what I tend to do. If it goes wrong, shift it to Kallum.
Pretty much. We must know this is a really dire podcast if me and you are here, Jay. Let's put it that way, mate. He's
making up the numbers.
The barrel if we're here.
I'm not saying anything. I'm keeping out of this one. But no, it's nice to have you on, Kallum. And Joe, I'll start with the next talking point coming to you. First minute of the game, I mean, Basuma gets booked, who's 16 seconds in. I mean, he done well, to be fair, though, didn't he? To stay disciplined, level-headed for the rest of the game and not get that second yellow card.
Yeah, he definitely had to keep his head up, to say the least, because, I mean, that was just a silly foul to get booked for in the first minute. And it kind of, when it first happened, it struck me as how it was against Luton last year, where he was walking a tightrope. No, he played really well, but it just shows the stupidness that can be in his game. And he had such an important role of screening the back four on Saturday, so he had to definitely walk that tightrope, didn't he?
He absolutely did. Billy, come to you on this one. I mean, what were your thoughts? 16 seconds in, Basuma getting booked. Were you fearing the worst?
Yeah, definitely. You never like to see a player get booked against a team like Man City, who in general have a lot of the ball, especially a player with discipline issues like Basuma. But yeah, did not turn out to be a problem at all. I thought he was excellent, and it's a real disciplined performance after that booking, because when you're playing against Man City, it's so easy to get frustrated. They have a lot of the ball, which didn't go all their way in this game in particular, but 20 seconds in, you're thinking the worst. And you're even thinking, to be honest, he might not even make half time. So, yeah, brilliant. And much needed with Benson Cardian out as well. If he'd got sent off, we'd have been really screwed, in deep trouble. And it would have been a real letdown as well, because there's a big opportunity from now Benson Cardian being banned. It's a bit like last season where he came back and then got banned again. So, yeah, it would have been a real blow. But, yeah, fair play to him. Turned out all right in the end.
It did, absolutely. Robbie, so moving on to the game itself, we took the lead in the 13th minute. It was Maddison with the goal. It started with a drag us in, your typical long ball over the top. I thought was, not necessarily going out of play, but heading that way, and kind of Guardiola was going to deal with it quite easily. It wasn't the case. I think he done quite poor defensively. I think Kulu done really well. So I want to talk about Kulusevski actually and his involvement in this goal. I mean, he done superbly, didn't he, for that first goal?
Yeah, he was brilliant. As I said a minute ago, I was questioning him being on the right, but what a ball it was in. Maddison didn't have to change his run at all. Like Justin was saying earlier, pulled away from Gundogan brilliantly. He's made a lot of those runs this season. He just hasn't been spotted a lot of the time. But as I say, he makes it this time. He gets the ball, puts it in the back of the onion bag. But that ball from Kulusevski was ridiculous. And I think his whole performance was mustard. It really, really was. He was drifting into the midfield a lot. And just as I say, the strength that he has, especially for that first goal, shoving players off him like they're not even there. That's the type of player we want in these big games. Someone who's physical and not afraid to get stuck in. And I thought the aggressive side of our game was brilliant on Saturday. We saw it with Sarr, saw it with Basuma, and saw it a lot with Kulusevski. And it was a brilliant start to a brilliant performance, to be fair. It really was. One of the best crosses I've seen this season. I'm not going to say ever, but honestly, pitch perfect from Kulu.
Yeah, 100%. It certainly was. Thank you very much, Robbie. Kallum, I'll come back to you. I mean, Robbie said it there. Perfect start, wasn't it? Scoring within 13 minutes to take the lead at the Etihad, to silence the crowds. Obviously, they're coming to a little bit of confidence, looking to put the form right, announcing Pep Guardiola extending his contract for 2 years. So there was that little bit of a buzz. I mean, it's a perfect start, wasn't it?
Yeah, no, exactly. I mean, if any team goes to the Etihad and actually manages to get a goal against City, you're going to be overjoyed. But I mean, especially for us, I mean, pre-game they were celebrating the Rodri stuff for the door and all that. They were celebrating like Pep was the next Messiah, all of that stuff that was coming to mind. And when you do get that goal so early on, because I mean, realistically, City were pretty solid in that first 13 minutes. They did have a few chances. They did put some pressure on Spurs, but no, I thought it was such a good way to take the lead. And I mean, it was one of them where before the game, I was thinking, is it really a right game for Maddison? But I mean, for him to step up and get that first goal was really good. And it just kept all of them plastic blue fans quiet, let's put it that way, for a little while coming.
Definitely. I mean, Justin, there was a lot of talk, wasn't there? We said it already about Kulusevski starting on the right and Maddison starting in this game. I mean, the questions were answered in 30 minutes, weren't they? Both involved in that first goal.
Yeah, to be fair, absolutely. And I think that's really, really important because, when we first signed Kulusevski, that's what we signed him for, was to play on the right. As we saw, though, over time, he always was going to cut inside. And I think that was always going to be a bit of an issue for him because I think, as he put in an interview, he liked playing as a number 10. But I think it helps you know, in that game, that he was able to do that. And not just that, but also his strength, you know, as you saw, particularly with the first goal, he just bullied Guardiola off the ball. And I mean, I was stunned to even see him, you know, do that. So the play for them both was really, really important. And it just shows that the versatility that these players have. And it's something that we've got to really, you know, somehow get into. They can do this. You know, Johnson can play up top if he's needed to. He can play on the right. He can play on the left. You know, we need players to be versatile into this, because we're going to have games like this where, you know, as we saw in the stats, we didn't have the most possession. You know, we knew that City were going to have more of the ball. When the opportunities come, you know, we need players to be adaptable. And to be fair, I think those two in particular really stood out, because, as I said, it's been a while since we've seen Maddison playing in that way, where he has just dropped out of nowhere and getting those goals. You know, and I think we've all as fans perhaps been a bit guilty with Kulusevski. He is, you know, rightly so, he's probably been our best player of the season. But as we all probably sat there and thought when we saw the starting lineup, why is he not playing as a number 10? Why are we not playing Johnson and him instead of Maddison? But, you know, these are things where those players need to set up. And to be fair, I do think we've, you know, and I've been critical of him, but I think credit does have to go to Ange as well, because, you know, to be brave to do it in a game like that against City, you know, hats off to him.
Yeah, 100%. We'll get a bit into that side kind of later and what went right, and where we can get even better. But thank you very much, Justin, for that. And Billy, we'll move on to the second goal now, which came just 7 minutes later in the 20th minute. Maddison, the heart of this again, this time again with the goal. A little chip over Edison. I mean, it was just delightful, wasn't it, from James Maddison all round? That's what you can do, isn't it, at his very best?
Yeah, man, and such an underrated finish as well. I think it was not easy to chip Edison from that. Really, you know, there's such a small amount of space in between the ball and the goalkeeper to get it up and over in that. You know, with about a second reaction time as well was unbelievable. It was a great ball from Son, great ball from Maddison, and to the sort of the 1-2 type thing. Just a brilliant goal all round. But it's a real high quality finish, and one which few players that we have are capable of. Maddison's definitely one of them.
Yeah, 100%. Justin, I mean, it's a lovely goal, isn't it? Again, first two goals were beautiful.
They were, and it's so when you see them working in that sort of way, you know, you just, I mean, you look at it all. It isn't just a case of Maddison's finish, but it's the link up play and everything else like that. And again, I think it was Son who was in the middle, who had drifted off from his position, you know, almost out of nowhere, got himself into that, sort of help lay off the ball for Maddison, you know, for almost like an arrogant sort of finish. Because, not being funny, you could have sat there and expected that ball could have been, you know, either blasted straight at Edison or put into Rowe's head. But it was just the audacity to chip it over him. And, you know, when he is playing like that and he has got that level of confidence, I do think he should be playing for England. He should be playing regularly for Tottenham. But it is just that part of its consistency, because, you know, the goal was such a team goal, but his finish at the end was just sublime. And it just now almost, it's a case of now Ange and others have got to say to him, right, on you go, because you've shown you can do it against the champions. Now go and do it going forward, because there should be no excuses. As I said, you know, credit to him. It was a sensational goal.
Yeah, it absolutely was, 100%. Kallum, would you say it's a gift from Man City and Guardiola? Another mistake from him? What do you reckon?
A little bit, but I mean, to be fair, if we had the choice of getting Gvardiol to play for us, I mean, we'd take it probably in a heartbeat. We'd probably take half the City team. So I mean,
Well,
yeah,
that's true.
I think maybe a little bit unfortunate for Gvardiol, but I don't think many City players had a good game. I just think it was a very good team goal when it happened, and it's what you want. I don't think we can really pin it on any real players being at fault ultimately, because I think Spurs just ultimately outplayed City all round. We was just winning everything in every department, weren't we?
Yeah, Yeah, I think that's a really good point. Robbie, I'll come back to you because the first half ended 2-0 lead for us at the Etihad. I mean, overall in that first half, we keep using, being very complimentary, but it was a great first half, wasn't it?
Yeah, I thought we were brilliant. I thought we were absolutely brilliant. I mean, no complaints whatsoever. It's frustrating that we don't do it like that, consistently. Because for those first 45, I think we were brilliant. We were counter-attacking them really well, as I say, similar to what we did the cup against their youngsters. But we play against their youngsters, we narrowly beat them. We play against their top lads, and we destroy them. And I thought in that first half, as I say, I wasn't expecting what we got, but we were brilliant. It was a really, really professional performance. And it's not like, we scored those 2 goals and it was a frantic first half. They had some good chances in the first 10 minutes, but I think that's probably the most organised I've seen us under Ange. Every player doing their job really well. Our players being aggressive, onto second balls, winning aerial duels, winning 50-50s. You have to do that as an away side if you want a result at a ground like the Etihad. And our lads did. We were really getting stuck. As I say, it was a really professional performance. And heading in at half-time 2-0, but it still had that feeling that it could go tits up because we saw what happened against Brighton. We saw, even a couple of years ago, we were 2-0 up at the Etihad at half-time and went on to lose the game 4-2. So I was still a bit worried, but as first halves go, I haven't seen many better than that from Spurs over the last few years, in all honesty. We were really, really well organised.
Yeah, definitely. And at half-time, Man City brought on Ake for Stones. Not the substitution you'd expect, but I think that's what makes Pep Guardiola, I suppose, special from the rest. He's unique, different ways. I mean, I was expecting a De Bruyne or a Grealish or wherever it may be, but I think, at the bottom of my list would have been Nathan Ake, but there's so many times he's done that. I'll never forget with Pep, with FPL, and I'm glad I didn't listen to him. He said, Rico Lewis is one player we just can't afford to rest. We've got too many players out. What did he do that next game? He rested Rico Lewis. So, any FPL managers, I wouldn't quite listen to what Pep says. I think some of it's mind games, but he's certainly a good tactician. But it was outfoxed, I think, by Postecoglou in this one. We'll move on to the second half. So 3-0 Spurs. It was Porro with the goal in front of the away end. I mean, Billy, Kulusevski, I'm going to have to mention him again. Special, wasn't it, from Kulusevski? I mean, how he keeps the ball among that many Man City players. I mean, they just couldn't handle him at all, could they, all afternoon?
No, they couldn't. And there's a GIF doing the rounds of that skill that he did where he nutmegged someone, I think he nutmegged Gundogan and then beat someone else as well and then managed to get the pass off. Brilliant. I also want to shout out Solanke because I thought he did really well for that goal too because it was a bit of an overhit pass actually. Brilliant bit of skill, but then the pass was slightly overhit and Solanke just kept it calm, kept the ball, put Porro in. It's a really good finish from Porro as well. So yeah, another brilliant goal. I thought all the goals that we scored were brilliant to be honest, but yeah, some excellent all-round play. And I think Solanke to get an assist deserved it so much because he worked so hard in that game. It was a ridiculous amount of work that he put into that performance. And he probably would have been disappointed not to get a goal. But, with him, his all-round game is just absolutely phenomenal, I think.
Yeah, 100%. Kallum, Kulu, again, I mean, wow. I said to Billy there, I mean, how he just keeps the ball in that move is really special. But Billy did mention there about Solanke, who I want to talk to you about. I mean, what were your thoughts on his performance yesterday? I mean, he did get assist in that goal. Are you worried in terms of he's not getting the goals? But he's certainly performing well, isn't he?
I mean, you're always going to judge a striker on how effective they are in front of goal because we're fickle, we're football fans, we love to pick on numbers, we love to look at stats, everything like that. But I mean, I think I was saying it last night, just having a focal point makes, we've probably scored, just say 10 more goals this year compared to last year. We've had a focal point there, someone to link up play, to knock the ball down, to lay it off to, like what Solanke did with Porro last night, like he's done with Johnson a couple of games ago as well. It just gives you that focus up front. And to be honest, I mean, if I was a defender in the Premier League, I mean, Solanke's a pain in the arse. He really is as a defender. He proper gets up in your face. He's trying to run through the lines. He's going left. He's going right. I mean, he just looks confused and all that. I don't know what you'd actually say about it, apart from that he does such a good job of leading from that way that he's able to balance it and link up play. I mean, obviously, a shout out to Kulu as well. I mean, no matter, we thought he was brilliant in the middle, and now he's gone out to the right and plays that audacious assist, and then I know he overhit it, but I mean, to pinpoint it, and then Solanke once again cut him right to go and get it, to then put it on a plate for Porro. I mean, we've got to have the most informed front line, or one of the most, probably after Liverpool, haven't we? And that's including Son, Solanke, Johnson, Kulu, Richie, if he ever comes back, all of them. So, I mean, the options are boundless there. It's just that when you do have that many options, you just feel spoilt for choice. And I mean, if you said to me, if I could play Solanke every week, I would, and all that. I mean, I think we're going to have to, ironically, for the time being. But if he's not injured, if he's not struggling, then happy days, and we'll go for it.
Mm. What a signing, Solanke had. I mean, I'm totally not worried at all. I completely agree with you, Kallum. I think you have to look at his all-round performance. It's lazy comments, I think, especially from other football fans that don't watch Spurs. I think the first time I heard it was on the overlap about, he's been awful. He's been a great signing. I think you only got to watch Spurs for the game, and I think you're absolutely realise that. It's interesting you make the comparison to Liverpool there, and I can understand why. I mean, the goals in the form are just really coming from Mo Salah, whereas what I like in this front three is it's coming from Solanke, it's coming from Johnson. When he's fit, it's coming from Son. So it's really nice to see the goals and assists distributed come from Kulusevski as well, even if he's not on the right or he's in the 10 as well, chipping in. And I do like that, but I think that I completely agree with you. The amount of, I know we haven't seen it yet, the amount of goals that we're scoring, the amount of points we'll eventually get, Solanke is at the heart of it. And that's why I think we'll end up doing better for me this season than last season, despite our start. Because in the end, I think that bonus of Solanke, and that number 9, that physical presence, that different way of playing, like we saw with City against the League Cup, for example, we adapted our style. We could do that because we had Solanke up front. Little stat here, though, before we move on Kulusevski. Dejan Kulusevski has created the most chances in the Premier League this season with 33. Behind him, you've got Cole Palmer with 32 and Andres Pereira of Fulham, 32. You can see why Fulham fans buzz about him. Justin, does that stat surprise you? I mean, it represents everything we know, doesn't it, about how good the start to the season Kulusevski's had in that number 10 role and on the right.
One of the things I always hate is when a player turns around and says what their best position is, because 9 times out of 10 they're rubbish. Okay, we've seen it so many times where people think, players come out and say, well, I'm better at they don't. Sorry, am I back now? I don't know. It went funny.
Yeah, you're back. No worries.
Yeah, sorry. I don't know what was going on there.
That's all right.
Yeah, no. I think that was Kulusevski deleting me because of obviously my disagreement against him. Sorry, I was going to say it's the most sense you've talked to it all year, but go on. Yeah, thanks. And I thought Kallum was bad. Now, in terms of it,
I can start. That look on your face just. It's like that permanent weird time. It's like your alone time, Jay.
No, that was me at 4-0.
Alone time that face. Was you just like that was you
that
doing?
Was 4-0 when it full time went. When it went full time, the whistle blew. That was my face. All right. But in terms of it, when a player comes out and he's saying they should be playing in better positions, they never do. But actually, he came out. He said he was better as number 10. And he's proved it. But what he's also proved is his versatility, because it does mean, as we were talking about at the beginning of the show, the worry about Vicario. If, for example, Johnson were to get injured, or, he played, let's say he plays at the weekend and you want to have somebody in on the, during the week or whatever, you've got that versatility. And that is massive. That is massive on his side. I think he can play anywhere across the front three. I think we've played him anywhere across the front three and in that number 10 role. I think the bit that will be very interesting now is the summer, because for how good he has been, what tends to happen is with Tottenham, people start to sniff around. So let's hope we can build upon him rather than what we normally do, which is sell him on and then get a poor knockoff.
Yeah, 100%. Billy, has Vicario just put something on his social media, on his Instagram?
Yeah, he has, mate. I'll read it to you now. It's not sounding good, if I'm honest, but he says, sometimes football gives you its highs and sometimes it challenges in ways you don't expect. I played 60 minutes at the Etihad with a broken ankle, giving absolutely everything I had. Unfortunately, there was no way around this one. I needed surgery. I'm disappointed I won't be able to help the team for a while. A massive thank you to the doctors and the staff. The operation went well, and from tomorrow I'll be working hard to come back stronger. Thanks for all the love. See you on the pitch. But it doesn't sound good. But he played 60 minutes with a broken ankle. That's crazy, right?
Wow.
To be fair, Jay's been playing with a broken face for the last 20 plus years, and he's still going. So he ain't needed surgery. So that's still going.
To be fair, if that helps against Man City, I'm happy to keep it. You know, the fact that you and I look like twins is neither here nor there, though. To be fair.
Oh no, this is just a face mask, mate. I've got a really worse one underneath this. Let's put it that way.
It's the fact that you picked one to look like me as your best choice. That's more depressing.
Well, no, I thought I could scare people, and I thought I could scare people on a dark night.
Oh, is that why the hood was up?
Did you forget to take it off after Halloween?
Oh God, no! It's been like, no, that's the thing. We've both been going for over 20 years.
Yeah, this is ethics of poor life choices and being a Tottenham fan. When you've been supporting this club since 1991, you've got all of this to look forward to. Harry won't have us on the channel again after seeing this and knowing that.
No.
Another 20 years of Enoch, he'll just be hiding in the corner, not wanting to do this anymore.
He'll just sit there rocking just like that. He'll be in a straitjacket, like, oh my God, Daniel Levy's a gear again. What's Donna Cullen announced this time? We've taken the cockerel off the ball now. We've just got a ball as our badge instead.
No, we just got a giant cock instead. Sorry, please.
Well,
right,
if that's what you're into, mate, fair dues.
Well,
fair dues.
I've been
right. I might stop it there. Right, yeah, we're gonna end that conversation there. Thank you to both of you. We won't predict the future. We'll see what happens, but no, thank you very much. Before we move on from the whole Vicario breaking news, because it is a big part of this show, whether we like it or not. Robbie, Jace is here in the chat. Would you take Gallagher at Tottenham? I don't think there's a minute that he's going to come, because he'd be number 2 probably when Vicario comes back. You take him though, right?
Yeah, all day long. But I'd like Kelleher at Spurs. I'd also like a date with Margot Robbie. Neither's going to happen, sadly. So, yeah, I think I'd take him all day long. Though, as a backup keeper, he's done a great job. To be fair, at Liverpool, he's exactly the type of person you want. But as I was saying earlier, you don't want the sort of keeper to come in, who's going to come and do an unbelievable job in goal for us. But then Vicario comes back in, and then you've got a Ray Ramsdale sort of situation. But then you don't want someone to come in who's going to start costing you points. We just want a solid keeper who can do a job. But then when Vicario comes back in, there's going to be, no conflict between the two. But Kelleher, I think, would be a great choice. But maybe he could come to Spurs if he's looking for the minutes. But I think he's pretty happy at Liverpool. They play him in a lot of cup games. So I don't see it, but I'd take him all day long.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. Okay, that's interesting. Thank you very much. Big up to Jay. It's a good question. We will get back on topic. 63rd minute in this game. Johnson comes on for Heung-min Son. Justin, do you think it's just a case of managing Son's minutes? Obviously, he's not getting any younger, and to protect him, I think that's something that South Korea and Spurs have done well this season.
Yeah, simple as that, really. I think we know that the club has made the decision, regardless of his views on it, that I think it will just be, there'll be an extra year and that will be it. I think they'll then just ride off into the sunset. I don't think, from the looks of it, there is any appetite from the club to extend it any further. Obviously they brought in that Korean youngster to come in with the intention potentially of being his replacement. Myself, I'd rather we went big in that position, but you can just see that it is getting to him, and he has still got, a fantastic, right foot, as we saw when he whipped that one into the corner that Edison had to pretty much scoop out, for the corner. So, there is that talent there, but I don't see that the club will want to continue on with it beyond that point, because if they did, I think they would have done a further extension. So I think it makes sense that they are probably just trying to manage him, but with the intention that the longer term will be away from him, maybe not next year, but maybe the year after, perhaps.
I think we have to accept that long term. I think they might trigger that extension, but I think eventually you're absolutely right, and we look long term for replacements. I mean, I think Kallum's spot on in terms of the options and the form of the front three, but what happens now if Son's not here? That's my question. Is it Odebear on the left? Oh, he's injured. Is it Richarlison on the left? Oh, he's injured. So what do you do from here? We've got a little bit of a problem. I know that's what windows are for.
I mean, I know we've talked about, would we go for a goalkeeper? Personally, I think we need maybe 3 players in January if we're serious about this season. A goalkeeper now.
Left back cover.
Yes, but a left back who could perhaps play centre back, in terms of that. I know we've looked at players like that in the past, but I think a left winger, because, I know we're going to get onto it, in the terms that hell froze over and Timo Werner actually did what he's paid to do. But beyond that, we need somebody there if we can find an opportunity for it. But that in itself are probably the 3 positions the club needs to be looking at. And you're absolutely right in terms of Odebear is injured. Richarlison, I think, has to go. I don't think he's good enough. And when it comes to Werner, I know the club are looking at trying to, if they can, bring that deal to a halt in January. So then there's another replacement needs to be. So, when it comes to Son, he's been a fantastic servant of the club, but he's getting older. He's not he has performed at times, but it's been very much in intervals. We haven't seen the best of Son for probably a year or 2, give or take. So I think we can manage him for this season and next, but I do think the intention has to be for a long-term replacement now.
Okay. No, thank you very much. Moving on, 74th minute. Manchester City, here we go. Bring on Kevin De Bruyne and Jack Grealish. Billy, were you fearing the worst at this point? Also, not long ago, we experienced that Brighton collapse. Obviously, it wasn't that long to go. We were, had a 3-goal advantage by then. Did you have a small worry in the back of your mind that, we could switch the Dr. Tottenham, I suppose, of us on?
Yeah, I mean, even at 4-0, I wasn't feeling particularly comfortable in this. It's just a horrendous situation to be in, playing against Man City, and they bring on those 2 players. When they came on at 3-0, I was definitely fearing the worst, because we've collapsed like that before. We did it a few seasons ago against West Ham, but it's just the whole situation. The whole situation was an uncomfortable view, and even though we did actually play really, really well, you just always got that nag in your mind that something's going to go wrong, but it didn't. I think De Bruyne made more chances when he came on than any Man City player, all the Man City players combined in the rest of the game, but it wasn't enough. The finishing from Haaland in particular was really poor in this game. So it was scary, but we rode it out.
Yeah, absolutely. Big up to everyone in the chat. Just joining in. I mean, someone's not happy with Fraser Forster. I mean, it might be what we're going to have to part with until January. Won't read out what he said, but people who can't see it.
I can read it.
That one.
I can read it if you want.
No, you're not reading it. No, don't go there.
Oh, you're boring. You boring so-and-so. So rude.
Harry, can we translate into sign language? Because I've got finger gestures that can help, if that helps.
I think we've frozen his stream.
I was going to say we've broken him already and what have you. Because he's like, no, Kallum don't talk, and Justin, you do not action. End of.
It's your fault. Oh dear. Right. No, thank you very much. Robbie, I come to you actually on this about Kevin De Bruyne and Grealish. Completely lost my chain of thought there. Were you worried as well that City could potentially get back into it?
No. If I'm being honest, we were 3-0 up by that point. What was it, like 75th minute? And whilst I have seen us collapse, I thought the way that we played the whole game, the fact they weren't building any momentum really at any point, I didn't see us collapsing. De Bruyne is a good player, but has he had the consistent minutes recently enough to come on and like score 2 or 3 goals? No, as good of a player as he is. So I think it was a really professional performance. And the way that we played, I didn't see the capitulation at that point. I didn't see us crumbling like a chocolate digestive like we did against Brighton. Because by that point, as I said, I thought we were pretty much home and dry. The 4th goal was the cherry on top, obviously. But yeah, if I can just go back quickly to what Justin was saying about Son, I completely agree. I think you can definitely see parts of his game that aren't there as much, or maybe they are. They're just not being utilised. For example, the pace. Very, very rarely do you see him blitz a player now and then put it in the back of the net. But I do think, as good as he still is, he's slowly on the decline. I was someone who was banging on all summer about going out there and signing maybe an Eze or an Mbermo or a winger who can come into the first team and then slowly replace him in some. But where I do disagree is I don't think the club will get rid of him anytime soon. I think he makes the club so much money. And whilst he's brought over a lot of fans, as I say, who now support Tottenham, I think some will stay Spurs fans, but will a lot of the Koreans stay Tottenham fans when Son goes? Or will they then go to the club that he goes to if he doesn't retire when he leaves? I think the amount of money that he makes us for the fans that come over from Korea, Southeast Asia, to come and watch Sonny play for Tottenham.
Massive.
I don't see the owners knowing how much they love filling their wallets, getting rid of Son anytime soon. So come up with a walking stick at the age of 45, and I still think they'd be paying him his wages because of the money that he brings in. But yeah, going back to what I was saying, as I say, about De Bruyne, I thought we were pretty much home and dry by that point.
Yeah, I was with you. I did have in the back of my mind, if City score, it could be an uncomfortable ending. I think that's what Pep was trying to create. That that's always going to have that idea as a Spurs fan. But the 89th minute, Timo Werner comes on for James Maddison. A fantastic shift from James Maddison. So let's get the gaffer's thoughts, Ange Postecoglou, on James Maddison's thoughts when he was speaking to Sky after the game.
He was outstanding. Like I said, you have to be against Manchester City, and your level of performance. Like I said, you have to, every aspect of the game, it challenges you. And Madders was great today. Again, he's gone through a bit of a lean spell, but I never doubted his ability. And I just thought today, the kind of game he's going to be was really going to suit him, and he did outstandingly.
Yeah, just tell us about. Me and probably others drove here today probably thinking he wouldn't start today, but you did bring him in and you put Kulusevski, who's been unbelievable and was again out wide. What was you thinking?
Well, as I said before the game, I just felt, we were going to need Matters' sort of ability to keep the ball in tight midfield areas, and Decky, when he plays wide, against City, he always causes them problems, and I thought it would work well. But, part of it is just a bit of, I take it sort of personally on myself if players aren't playing to their levels, and Matters hasn't reached his levels, and that's on me to get him back up there. So we've done a lot of work with him in the last 2 weeks. All the coaches have. He has. And as I said, that was part of the thinking. He hadn't gone away with internationals. He had a good, solid 2 training weeks, and I just felt he was ready to go, and we gave him the platform to do it.
There we go. That's what Ange Postecoglou has to say about James Maddison's performance. Kallum, it's refreshing to hear, isn't it? Him accepting that Maddison hasn't been at his best, and he takes personal responsibility for that. I really love that ending.
Yeah, no, it's what you want to hear from a manager, saying that he thinks that Madders can do better. Definitely, him accepting it as well. There's one thing that frustrated me with that interview, and it's the fact that he still can't look at the blinking camera. What has he got on his shoes, or is there a fly in the mic?
Well, he did a little bit more.
Make eye contact with
He did a little bit more than he does after we lose.
Once.
He always looks like a naughty boy. He always looks like he's been given, I can't use the word, he's been told off. And then his mum has just turned around and said, right, go out there now and tell him what you did. And he just like,
I don't want to go on the naughty step.
Yeah. But that's the thing. It's either that or he's literally walked in the biggest pile of dog crap ever, and he's just literally looking to see about scraping his foot off That's the thing. I mean, but no, going back to what you were saying,
Goodness me,
obviously,
guys.
I've derailed the whole show. I've derailed it. Jay's gone. We're lost. We're losing it. But no, I mean, to have him actually taking responsibility for it, saying that Maddison hasn't been where everyone hoped he was, because obviously we all know how good a player Maddison is. It's always been consistency throughout his whole career. It's about doing the right stuff, doing this, doing that. And I don't think Ange has ultimately helped it, because some of the people that he's played with probably haven't given him the flexibility and freedom that he's wanted to as well on the pitch. But I mean, obviously today, well, the game at the weekend, we was all wax lyrical about him. We thought he was really good, and Ange did make the right choice ultimately, because he did score 2. He made that impact that we wanted. It's just about the manager choosing the right personnel to supplement what Maddison can do and make him at his creative best. I think that's the best way to do it. And literally, he just needs to look at a blinking camera. If he looks at a camera before the next international break, we will be lucky. Until that point, I still don't feel confident taking everything that he says without trying to smirk or smile.
Robbie, I know you have to jump, so can I ask you before you do, what are your thoughts on Maddison's performance? I mean, it's a great shift by him, wasn't it?
Yeah, I thought Madders was brilliant. I really, really do think Madders was brilliant. I've been quite a big critic of him this season, because I know he's capable of a performance like that. He just hasn't done it consistently enough. I think he's quite a luxury player. You know, when he's on it, he's genuinely one of the best players on the pitch. But when he's off it, as I say, he looks non-existent. It's like we're playing with 10 minutes time. Bits like that during the game. Now, I think Maddison's at his best when he really gets himself involved in the game, when he's everywhere on the pitch, when he's dropping deep and linking up play. And it weren't just the goals, he was just getting involved in the midfield. He was linking everything up. He was at the heart of everything he did right, in my opinion, on Saturday. So I was really, really impressed with him. Possessed, I thought Doshi was really good as well. Vicario, a lot of quality performances on Saturday. I think we had some really good ones, but I'd say 4 or 5 players were unreal. But yeah, Maddison was fantastic. He really, really was fantastic. Lads, I'm going to have to shoot off as Billy already has just there. He couldn't stand me talking more rubbish. But yeah, no, good to see you, Harry. Take care, Kallum, Justin.
Thank you for coming on, mate.
Cheers,
Thank
Robbie.
you very
See
much.
later, man.
All the best. Thank you very much for coming on. Hopefully Billie T will be back. I don't know what's quite happened there. It's you two, so it's all your fault. But no, we'll move on. 93rd minute, I want to go on to the 4th goal. Well, Timo Werner beat Kyle Walker. I mean, this is one of my favourite moments of the game. It's deliver a perfect cross to Johnson, and he converted. I mean, we have lots of guests on, and we talked a lot about Timo Werner. Negative. I mean, you both have. I completely understand why. I mean, Kallum, firstly, he deserves credit here, doesn't he, Timo Werner?
Oh, yeah, no, exactly, mate. Exactly. I mean, literally, it was like seeing a rocket going, wasn't it? It was just like he was there, and then just like that. And Walker had no chance. You are not a legend, Jay. No, you are not.
Right, people who can't see it, it's just got a comment in the chat from Travis saying, Justin, you're a legend, and I think Justin's taken to that quite well. I think he's lost his head.
Travis feels sorry for you. He feels sorry for you because you just look like a dodgy egg cup. And I can say that.
I can take that from anyone, but when you look just like I do,
black,
I was going to say, come on. The other two,
and
yes,
that's the reason why I can say that to you, because I have experienced it myself. But yeah, what was I saying? Yeah, the whole thing with Walker, literally he just got slaughtered. Him and Rico Lewis had a really bad game up until that point, and then it just got 10 times worse for him. And when you have Werner, who has come on, didn't really do much up until that point, and then just gasses past you, and then to score, to get into that position for the atypical sort of Ange winger goal.
Yeah.
One winger to the other side and Johnson being there. I mean, it really did show Walker was I definitely think he looked like he was showing his age in this game. Let's put it this way. He didn't look like he had that yard of pace. He didn't look like the sort of world-class player that we've all come to consider him to be. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, no, absolutely. 100%. Billy, what did you make of that moment from Timo Werner as he put Walker into retirement?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, yeah, you very, very rarely see Walker get beat like that throughout his career. He's coming up against the best wingers in the world and rarely gets done like that. So, yeah, I think he's on the way out. I think I know Man City fans are quite vocal about how he's on a downfall. I don't think they're particularly appreciative of him anymore. Yeah, good to see. Good to see Timo Werner do that. But it's not often you get to see Kyle Walker done like that. So, yeah, brilliant stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. It was fantastic to see. A nice goal. Justin, cherry on top? Always on mute now.
I think
If you put a cherry on top, he'd look like a cake. To be fair,
I'd look like something else. Again, we can't. Anyway, let's not, because I think Harry's gonna have a breakdown at some point. So let's not help bring that forward.
Don't worry, I will. I can.
Okay.
I will.
In terms of it, I honestly thought hell had frozen over, because you know when you watch something and then you realise who it is. Now I remember, I'm old enough that I remember Taxi from Icon, who maybe Harry you don't, but when the point that Gareth Bale boots the ball past Maicon and gives him about 3 or 4 yards and still just destroys him, that I can accept, because that is a generational talent who's going to go on to be something special. When I am watching Timo Werner, a guy who, to be fair, it is the only thing he's good at, is running and crossing. He can't shoot, so maybe because he realised that is as far as he can go with his limits, maybe he thought, okay. But honestly, I think if you watched a game that I think if I was a City fan, I was worried about for Kyle Walker, that would probably be it, because he just didn't look himself at all. And that was really worrying for them. But yeah, hell froze over. He actually put in a decent run and decent cross. Maybe he's worth keeping.
Please don't.
Maybe.
Daniel Levy's listening to this, and you know he's going to get rid of Son and keep Werner. You know it's a Daniel Levy deal just waiting to happen.
On that note, Harry, move on, please.
Yeah, we'll move on, definitely. Billy, I'll let you jump at 9 and we keep going till about 10 past, quarter past. That works all right with everyone. But it ended 4-0 Spurs at full time. We've ended Manchester City's unbeaten home run, which dates back to December 2022. Little stat for you here. Goals this season so far in the Premier League. Brendan Johnson's got 5, Bukayo Saka's got 4. So, yeah, if you ever hear any criticism Johnson gets or any praise Saka gets, yeah, sometimes he does deserve it, don't get me wrong. But there's a little interesting stat for any Arsenal fans that may want to run away. I mean, Spurs beat champions Manchester City 4-0 in their own backyard, while either of their first choice centre-backs available after losing to winless Ipswich at home last time out. I mean, we're a strange club, aren't we, Kallum, to say the least?
Yeah, I mean, literally, how can we lose to 2 relegation candidate teams in Ipswich and Palace, and then we beat City twice within a month? We beat Aston Villa as well, all by at least a 2-goal margin. And yeah, and we do City at the Etihad. I mean, it just shows how inconsistent we are as a team. And I love Ange's style, but I mean, it's just about the players being consistent now, because if not, we're literally just up and down. We get the points that we lost last year in like the Man United game, the City game, the Villa game, but then we lose points that we gained last year as well. So it's just a cycle. And don't worry, I'm not calling for Ange's head or anything like that. I'm just calling for more consistency. And I was listening to The Athletic earlier where they said that when we play well, we win. But when we play badly, we need to get a win like that as well. Something that Arsenal can do, something that Chelsea can do, something that Liverpool can do. I mean, Liverpool were appalling against Southampton yesterday, and yet they still came out 3-2 winners as well. So that's what Spurs need to be able to do now, to be able to win dirty, win nasty, and not be classed as the nice guys. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, 100%. Spurs have gone back into the top 6 with this win. Billy, what's gone wrong for Man City? 5 losses in a row in all competitions. It hasn't happened under Pep Guardiola, where he hasn't lost 4. He certainly hasn't lost 5. I mean, is it time to panic for Man City? Can it still be a good season, as Pep has said today?
It can be, yeah. I mean, they do this to an extent every year, where they struggle before Christmas, then after Christmas they win every single Premier League game and end up winning the title. But I don't think they've ever struggled to this degree. I think what's gone wrong is, obviously, we were the Harry Kane team according to Pep, but they're the Rodri team. Like, they can't defend without Rodri. I know he's obviously an exceptional player and he just won the Ballon d'Or, but with the amount of resources that they have, you'd think they'd be able to cope with losing one player.
Exactly.
I think they'll probably go in the market in January to try and find some kind of Rodri replacement. But yeah, they can't play without him, which is weird. They literally fall apart when he's not playing, which is unbelievable considering they're like one of the most expensively assembled squads of all time. But they just can't play without Rodri, and it's as simple as that, I think.
Absolutely. I mean, but it's so Dr. Tottenham, isn't it? That Ipswich result, and then no centre-back available. Man City, all the players back, announcing Pep's new contract at the Etihad, the champions, and we not only win, but we win 4-0. Battered them. I just, wow. I want to move on to Ange next, and his team selection, in-game management, because I think he deserves a lot of credit, along with the players, of course, executing it. I think credit has to be distributed when we do well. I think, we all on this podcast, at times have rightly, I think, dissed out, kind of said our thoughts and been critical, in particular after that Ipswich loss. But I think there's a lot of praise needed for this. Firstly, I want to get Tim Sherwood's thoughts on Ange Postecoglou. Not a guy I usually listen to, but I think he is spot on.
I'm just pleased for the manager because, I'd have to say it's probably a 50-50 split on Tottenham fans who either want him or amazingly want him out. It's incredible. I can't believe it. Shame on you guys for wanting this guy out. This guy, for me, is a breath of fresh air, what Tottenham needed. And he needs results like this to convince a lot of the fan base that he is the main man. For me, give him time, give him the money, give him a few transfer windows, got a clear identity. He will win trophies at this football club, but he needs to be given time to be able to do it. And today is a good reminder for a lot of the fans out there who are ringing up these phone-ins to say, we want our manager out, this guy's not good enough. Believe me, he is good enough. He is a top-drawer manager who's got different ideas to the majority of managers in the Premier League.
Refreshing to hear. Justin, reading your facial expressions, do you agree with that or not?
Yes and no, because I get a lot of what he's saying, and you look at, I think there has been some differences, and you can see what he's trying to do and what he's saying and things like that. And he's had more successes in the window than he hasn't. So I get where he's coming from, that if he is properly backed, then yeah, absolutely, he could be a success. I think there is always going to be stumbling blocks, not just with him, but we've seen it with managers we've had in the past. The first one being themselves, because we've seen at times with Ange, that he can be a right moody, I won't use the words, but I'll let you fill in the blanks. No, Kallum, that means you can't either. But
don't encourage him.
Yeah, but in terms of it, we've seen it at times where it's just like you act that way, but it's your own doing. Like the Ipswich game and the Crystal Palace game, and we've seen it in times where there are games where you're like, you've got to understand that people are not going to be happy, and you're trying to change his mentality when that is on the back of that result, because that result doesn't evidence it. That the second half against Brighton doesn't evidence the mentality you're trying to change. So those things I think he needs to be a bit more practical on. But the second part, again, is down to the club, because yes, we're seeing that they are being more in terms of wanting to back a manager, but there are still those little signs, as we saw the reports, where there's a wage structure now that is completely outside of anything anyone in the top six has got. You know, you look at those teams that are vying for the top six, they will pay wages more than £100,000 a week. You know, he wanted Conor Gallagher, as the rumours go, and Conor Gallagher would have come, but wanted more money. Eze wanted more money. So we do have to sit there and think, well, yes, he maybe wants to change the culture. Yes, he can be that manager, but he has to accept he's not perfect. And he also has to accept that the people above him are not perfect either. He does that and somehow gets it to work. Maybe Tim Sherwood's right, but
yeah,
we've been here before.
Good balance. I really do appreciate that. Billy, what are your thoughts on Ange and his like team selection, which obviously turned out to be spot on, and also his in-game management, like substitutions with Johnson, Werner in particular, really impacting the game?
Yeah, it's been a bit of a weird one because there's been some games where he's made some match-winning substitutions recently. Quite more often than not, he's got his substitutions right this season. Then there's been games like the Palace game and the Ipswich game where he didn't make any changes at half-time against Ipswich. I think all fans were a bit dumbfounded by that when we were 2-0 down. Didn't bring on some players until quite late. I think he brought Madison on the 80th minute or something around that. So that, again, it's like the boys were saying earlier, it's about the consistency. We need to see consistency in these decisions that he's making. I think sometimes he likes to sort of let the players sort of dwell on their own performance and not make changes. And then when he does make a change at halftime, it seems to work well. So I'm a bit confused by that. But I think in general, he's got more substitutions right this season. And again, I don't back this thing that he only has one way of playing and things because Man City was a different kind of performance. We definitely defended a lot deeper than we usually do. He makes tweaks all the time. Let's look at Kulusevski this season. He's played in all kinds of different positions. So as Madison, he does make subtle tweaks. He's not going to go out and change his formation, but he definitely makes subtle tweaks of the way that he plays. So, yeah, I think it'll be interesting to see now. Obviously, we're a bit under the cosh again straight away because we've just lost a really vital player in Vicario. It'll be interesting to see how we react to because a lot of the way that we play is all to do with Vicario playing out from the back. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with that because Forster has not got that ability that Vicario has for playing out with his feet. So it'll be interesting to see how he reacts to that, to be honest. It's a massive challenge.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you very much for coming on, Billy. I know you've got to jump, so I'll let you go. Where can people find you across social media?
Yeah, just Billie T on Twitter. Yeah, just Billie T on Twitter. And a bit terrified for the games coming now after that Vicario news, which I didn't know until this stream. So thank you very much, guys, for ruining my day.
Yeah, I know. You can blame me for that one. And of course, these two as always. But no, thank you very much, Billy. All the best. There it goes, Billy. No, I'm left with you two nutters. Right, let's move on. I want to focus on... well, I suppose so. You look at it like that. Certainly, a good game to discuss, I suppose. Just a panel I've been... Well, I chose the panel, so I can't complain, can I? Let's focus on a few individuals. We go with Ben Davies first. Kallum, Davies is Mr. Reliable, isn't he? What did you make of Ben Davies' performance? Because I don't think he'd get the credit for it, but I thought he was excellent. And I think that's a key ingredient behind how Jackson was really good in this game, where he hasn't been recently.
Yeah, I mean, it was actually reassuring to have within reason, someone who can play on the left-hand side, which was a very good option because I mean we saw Dragusin play on the right on the left before. It don't work when you're playing with Romero. It don't work. But someone like Ben Davies he's a solid 6-7 out of 10. You're never going to get anything special, but he's going to be Mr. Reliable for you, and that's why so many managers have liked him and kept him around, and that's why the plan is probably to make him part of the coaching staff or part of the furniture. You never know. They'll probably just bury him as part of the pitch. You never know for next year, one of the ways. But the whole thing is that he's always been reliable for so many managers that they've trusted him to come in when there's been crisis, when there's been issues. It sort of reminds you of like Johnny Evans with United. I mean, that man has no right to still be playing, but he's Mr. Reliable. All teams have had it. Klopp had Milner when he was at Liverpool.
A player to fall back on, isn't it? Really easy.
It's a consistent presence as such, and having that I think is really positive. And I mean, I've met Ben twice, and he's always been a very humble guy. He's never sort of Billy Big so-and-so.
Yeah.
He's never over the top. He's never trying to push his luck. He knows what sort of player he is, and he just tries to
teach
do
you a
the
lot then,
best he
eh?
can. Yeah, do one. Here we go. There you go.
Right.
Look,
Bye
I
bye,
have
Wednesday.
control.
No.
I have
no,
control.
You're not picking up that comment. No.
No.
That's going. I forget that. Who gave you control? Me.
Yep. No, but when you do look here, I mean, to come into such a big game, and I mean, he's done it consistently over the years. I mean, that's big ask, isn't it? To actually go to the Etihad and do stuff. And I know you just muted me and unmuted me, so don't be an arse. But it's a big ask, isn't it, to say the least, to go up there. And when he was sort of marshalling, it's such a good option to have. But the thing is, he's in the same position as Son now. He's out of contract at the end of the year. So what is the next step that you do take with him or take with the older guard in the squad? So it's definitely a difficult one. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, no, 100%. Justin, a player I want to ask you about, we've spoken about a lot, but Vicario, I mean, what a good performance. A broken ankle as well. Some of those saves with his leg make seem even more impressive now, don't they?
Well, I'll be honest. When I saw that, my initial thought was, and then he turns around and says he did it for an hour. All right, we'll do it for 90 then. You got a broken ankle. Get on with it. I mean, not being funny, you played your best football with it. Maybe if he starts having a wobble, maybe we just threaten to break the other one. I mean, to be fair, he seems to play better. I'm stunned that they've said he's now can't play. It was his best game. Maybe break one of his hands or something. Maybe we should do that for all of them. Just break all of their ankles and say go out there, because he was, all jokes aside, he was brilliant. Okay, he didn't have a lot to do, which I think is a bit more damning of City than it is in praise of him. But even so, to play an hour with a broken ankle is nothing short of miraculous, especially this day and age when if someone brushes their hair, they fall over. So, it was a big performance and he will be a massive miss. Simple as that.
Yeah. No, exactly that. And the last individual I want to focus on is Pape Matar. I want to say I think he was excellent. The energy that he brings, and just there's a stat that I read, he won every duel, for example, in that first half. And when he doesn't, he fights really hard to win it back, covers so much ground. I feel like he's like a tactical weapon for Ange in so many games, and he just bossed that midfield. And said it on the podcast on the match preview last week. The key to this game and the outcome is that midfield battle, and I'm strongly believe the Spurs won it because of Pape Matar. I was a worry without Bentancur, he wouldn't be able to. I think Bentancur, in terms of ceiling and ability, is probably our best midfielder, but Sarr, killed any worry, if you like. So I was really, really impressed with him. So big shout out to him. Before we move on to Roma, little thoughts and score prediction. Man of the match. I think it's quite hard because there's a lot of players, probably in contention. It's a good thing for the good reason. Kallum, I'll start with you. Who's your man of the match?
I went with Madders, but a close second with Kulusevski, mate.
Yeah, that's fair. Justin?
Same. I mean, considering the fact he didn't play, he hasn't been playing well, to come into a game like that for that performance, I have to agree. Simple as that.
Yeah, I agree with you. I'll probably give it to Kulusevski, but I think Maddison you could put a really good case for. If he plays at that every week, then that's the thing. As good as that Maddison performance was, he deserves credit for him. But that's the bar he set. That's what he should be doing every week, and it annoys me that he doesn't. And we need to see this more often because this is what he's capable of. David Clark's in the YouTube chat, Maddison as well. We've talked a lot with David about Maddison, so big up. We'll see him regular in the chat. I mean, it's a case of finding consistency now, isn't it, Kallum? Do you think that will come? How quickly as well?
Yeah. I would have thought that after the game at the weekend, if we still had the same lineup, then I would have thought maybe consistency would have been more forthcoming. But when you lose someone who is so pivotal in Vicario, and there's no discredit to Forster, he's been a dependable keeper. He's played top level. He's played Champions League.
Can he play 3 games in 7
a couple of times. So
That's the
he's
thing.
not ultimately. No, I genuinely think that by probably game 2, I mean, we saw it last year. He can't consistently do it anymore. I mean, he's a big ass. What is he? 34 to 36
I
now,
think he's
something
older
like
than that. I
that.
think he's like 37, 38. Sure he
Yes.
is.
He's late 30s, yeah.
So I mean, literally, you're asking a keeper, because realistically, a fractured ankle is going to be minimum of 6 to 8 weeks. So we're looking at early February, probably earliest, that we're going to get Vicario back. That's a big ask for him to come in. And I mean,
Yeah, he's
Wow.
36.
the next job, 36. So I mean, literally, he's still like a bag of concrete and all that. I mean, he's a decent shot stopper, but he can't use his feet. And
Not
I
in
mean,
this system, it won't work. I totally agree, it will not work. Not in this system, not for longevity, definitely.
no.
Interesting comment from David
No,
Clark, by the
and
way, on
that's the thing.
Madison. He says, David says, living in Leicester and having watched him closely, talking about James Madison for 6 years, and that's the real Madison. Drop deep to control the tempo or come off the left to create or make late runs into the box. It's really interesting to hear, and he totally dominated that game, Madison. He took it by the scruff of his neck. Yeah, we talk about lacking leaders. He showed leadership for me in that game, especially as the game went on. But I want to move on to Roma because I'm obviously wary of time. Just to start with you, your thoughts ahead of the game and what changes would you make? Obviously, we know enforced in terms of the goalkeeper, but Bentancur can play this game. The ban doesn't apply in Europe. Would you put him back in there?
Yeah, you have to. You have to keep him match fit. It's a perfect way of doing it. So I think he plays every single European game now. I'd probably bring in Johnson and maybe rest either Kulusevski and Maddison. I don't think you can make many other changes, really. I think he restricted himself by not putting Spence in that squad. The only other one would be Lancashire for... Lancashire will be suspended, won't he? Because it was a European...
Yeah, he will be, yeah.
So, no, that would be it. Bentancur and maybe Johnson. I can't really see that you'd do anything else. You maybe drop Safa Bergvall, because he should maybe get a few more minutes. I can't really think you'd do much else beyond that. I don't think you've got the capability to, really.
Maybe Gray. You got Gray
Could
to
be
maybe
Gray,
come in.
Yeah.
maybe put Gray on at right back. As I said, we've played him
Yeah.
there, so that's a good strategy, Gray. But yeah, that's really as far as you go. We're starting to get to the point of there's not many more changes that we can make in terms of that. But that would probably be the 2 or 3 that I would look at.
Okay, that's interesting. Kallum, how are you feeling ahead of this one? Big Europa League game. Claudio Ranieri, now the manager of Roma. They've had a disastrous start to European campaign and league campaign in Serie A. Opted to sacking their manager, De Rossi, and appointing Eccleston boss Claudio Ranieri. Obviously won the title with them. Does that worry you a little bit? And also your lineup as well.
I mean, it's one of the only clubs that's in a worse shit show position than Spurs in Europe at the moment.
Relax,
let's put it this way.
his microphone went off at the best time. They didn't catch what he said. I think he said it's a bit of a mess. I'm just translating into PG level.
Yeah.
So sorry, carry on, Kallum.
No, to be fair, they are just more messed up than Spurs and all that. They're balled in Fenway Group all over the place. That Ranieri's going to come in till the end of the season, then go technical staff. I mean, so they are. There's so many different fractures in that club. It's unbelievable. But I don't know. They've got such a huge European pedigree, haven't they? They've won Europa Leagues. They've done a lot of stuff. So, I mean, if they can, they're probably looking for a big scalp, to say the least. But no, I think that if I'm going to go for the game, it's going to have to be Forster, Gray, probably Dragusin, Davis, because I don't think Romero's going to be back for this week. I think
I reckon he'll be back for Fulham.
So
yeah,
probably so I reckon Udogie left back. Then you're going to be looking at Bentancur, probably Kula or Maddison in the middle with Bergvall, maybe. I think would be the option, and then maybe Werner, Johnson, Solanke, because I don't even even think more's going to be back for this. I mean, that virus seems to have.
I mean, this
really
virus
hit,
is
so I don't know
interesting,
whether
yeah.
it's long. I wonder whether it could, from what I've heard from background areas, it's either long COVID or something like gastroenteritis that he's got. So it can be
You think it's a
longer
genuine
condition.
illness? Because some people have suggested that there's maybe a problem behind the scenes. I don't think there is. So you don't entertain that at all.
I think it's a definite illness and all that, because I mean, from what I'm hearing and from what you see on Twitter, there's no proven fact to say. I mean, breakthrough season, he's got his long-term contract with Spurs as well this year, turning 17. There's no, and can I just say something as well, because obviously there was all that aggravator stuff that came out from Football Insider about the fractures. Yeah, I mean, and H, this is the one time where I probably need to just say it's the biggest load of bollocks going and all that, to be honest, mate. It was really, really bad and all that when that's come out, and it really fractured a lot of people with that. And you see a performance like Sunday, it's completely redundant and all that when you see that. So I mean, yeah, it's one of them where I just think it's genuine illness, and the same with all our other injuries we've got, mate. So probably most of our squad will turn out to be youth backups, I reckon.
Yeah, 100%. Before we wrap up, score prediction from you both. Justin, I'll start with you.
I think it'd be a solid 3-0.
The Spurs, I assume.
I wouldn't be this happy if it was 3-0 to Roma, obviously. knowing Spurs, yeah, I get where you're coming from. It could be a 3-0 Roma, but
you just don't know.
3-0 Spurs. There we go.
Yeah, just a chat. Thank you very much. I'll go with 4-1 Spurs. I'm feeling confident ahead of this one. I think Ranieri will be boosted by it, but I think there's a massive gap, even in the Serie A to the Premier League, and I think that the Roma are really struggling at the moment. I don't think any manager's going to solve all their problems. Boom, like that. A lot of problems on and off the pitch, in particular on it. Kallum, score prediction?
I'm going to go 3-1 Spurs. I definitely think that probably Dybala will score against us. It'd just be our luck, wouldn't it?
Well, it would be. It would be. I don't think it was the right thing to sign him, but some people obviously really do like him. So we'll have to see how he does. But I think that kind of wraps up nicely for this episode of the Scarfes Spurs Talk podcast. It's been a lively one. It's been a good one, but all in good spirit. If you're new to the channel, don't forget to smash the subscribe button. It is free to do so. Thank you again for 2,500 subscribers. Can we get to 2,600 by the end of 2024? That's the aim. So if you can help us get there, it'd be massively appreciated. If you're listening on the podcast platform, don't forget to drop us a follow and a 5-star review. Check out our sponsors, the Kitman, Security VPN. Kallum, firstly, thank you. Where can people find you across social media?
As always, mate, Kallum Stubbs 97 on Twitter. You can find me at Park Lane Podcast on Sunday, and you can find me always most of the time on Wednesdays on the Premier League show as well. So go and check that out. And obviously, thanks for having me on. And Jay, I don't think he's going to let us on another show. Let's put it that way, mate. He can't have us on together again.
It's nice while it lasted, to be fair.
Tell me about it, mate.
And we've broken his audio as well.
Oh, is his mic in his backside?
Oh no, we don't want to hear it then if that's the case. If you want to know, because clearly he doesn't want to ask this of me, which is really why he doesn't want to respond. If anyone wants to know where they can find me, it'll be here when Harry is really desperate and he needs to fill a spot to have somebody on here, or you can find me on Twitter. And yeah, apologies, but thank you so much for having me on. If he's willing to talk anymore, or does he just want to wrap this up and tell us? Oh no, he's back. Sorry, Kallum. Don't say any more of those things. Let's carry on. Let's let him wrap up his own show before he never has us on again.
But no, all jokes aside, follow Kallum and Justin on social media, nutcases. But it's been a really good show. So thank you to everyone who watched, who tuned in. The weekly Spurs podcast, the Scarfes Spurs Talk podcast, will be back as always next Monday, 7:45 p.m. We'll be reviewing Roma, we'll be reviewing Fulham, and looking ahead to Bournemouth and Chelsea. So it should be a busy one. Don't know how it's going to work out, but nonetheless, stay tuned. Busy week of content from matchday vlogs to match previews to match reactions to the Premier League show Wednesday night, 7:45 p.m. hosted by Kallum. So do smash the subscribe button and get involved. But for now, a massive come on you Spurs.